We live, or I think we hope so.
I mean, here's hoping.
What up? Welcome to the King M.E show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey, y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
And we are live Monday, the Monday after Mother's Day.
Monday after Mother's Day.
Which you had an interesting vlog about that you put on your website, God Happened to Me. I thought it was interesting.
You liked it?
I did. For people that don't know, Michelle does a Monday message vlog every Monday.
Every Monday.
Rain, sleet, shine, all that jazz on godhappenedtome.com. I encourage you to go over there and check it out. But here at the King M.E show, we offer a real outlook on healthy relationships. Real being relatable,
entertaining,
accountable.
Oh, and loving. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's all good. You was on point. You actually was on point.
I be doubting myself sometimes.
We good, babe. We here to support each other. Because that's what we do here. We help keep each other accountable.
Yes.
See, we're practicing
what we preach.
What we preach over here.
Yes.
And what we talk about. And today's topic stemmed from a conversation that I overheard and something that was going around on social media. And it is around the topic of long-term relationships versus marriage.
Ooh.
And how not just the younger generation, right? Gen Z, the generations that is coming up a couple of generations after us, even the older generation are starting to say, yeah, you know what? I tried marriage once, twice, thrice, 4 times.
I love how you counted in ASL. I peeped that.
And they're going, you know what? With all of the legal mumbo jumbo that comes along with it not working out, I'd rather sit into this LTR thing and just live my life like that. So
LTR being long-term relationship for those who may not have caught it.
Thank you. So I figured we would just give our perspective on that. See if anybody in the chat or the audience or even on the replay game has something to add to this topic as well. Maybe their own experiences or thoughts behind it. And we'll go from there. But before we get into it, we're streaming across multiple platforms. You can find us on Facebook, X, and YouTube currently. We're also co-streaming on Perry Productions Facebook page. Shout out to my homeboy, one of the best videographers out there. If you need him, book him. He's busy. He just got back from an overseas trip.
Yeah.
He's got another one coming up. My man is staying booked. So if you need your wedding filmed, your graduation, all of that jazz, hit him up. He is one of the best in the land. Page is going viral.
He is booked and busy, blessed, and still ready to be booked by you. So go ahead and hit him up.
While you also hitting him up, hit that like button on any of these platforms that have it.
Pick a platform, like them on all, whatever floats your boat.
So before we get into the topic, Michelle, we have this card game right here, questions for couples. Let's get deep. It comes with an icebreaker, a deep question, and a deeper question. There's a link to buy this in the description. We recommend this because it gets you talking to your significant other and bring up things that y'all might not necessarily have thought to talk about. Any avenue that allows you to communicate, we recommend using it. So something like a game can help you get there. What's the icebreaker question?
What's your favorite sport to watch?
That's easy. Football. What's your favorite sport to watch?
Also easy. Football. It's the one that I've understood the most pretty much all my life. So reflex game is on point. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
What's the deep question?
What's your favorite sporting event to go to and why?
I mean, that's the same thing. A football game.
I just randomly opened.
I just came from the DC Defenders Stadium, which is the UFL league down in DC. Fantastic product. The athleticism that those guys displayed, top notch. There were a couple of ex-pro NFL players that were also on the DC roster, which I thought was kind of interesting. And one guy who had all of the makings to be a superstar, I didn't really see him get that much shine in this game. I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want to feel like I'm disrespecting him like that.
Okay,
but
I get that.
it was a good product. And shout out to my friends that had invited me to their cabana suite. I am now spoiled, and sitting in peasant seats anymore.
Oh my gosh, not peasant seats.
Isn't something that I have a desire to do. So if you get a chance to go to a game and you get premium seating or cabana suites or something like that, do that. And shout out to the guy who hustled. Okay, I have to tell you this story. This guy, I was wondering why he was like kind of leaning towards where we were at, because where we were at had free food, like hot dogs, vegetables, cookies, drinks, beverages, things like that. And it was like walled off, but there wasn't like an extra layer of protection. So he's kind of like hovering kind of over the food. And I was wearing a jacket that affiliated me in the military. And he's like, hey, man, what branch of service were you in? I was like, Air Force. He's like, oh, thank you for your service. And I was wondering why he was still hovering. He had asked somebody to fix him up a plate of the free food instead of him getting some of that $8 hot dogs from the stadium. And I said, yeah, everybody's always out hustling something.
Bro, I would have done the same thing.
Really?
I'm not even mad at him.
I can't do that.
If I had known somebody, like,
that's different. Like, if I'm like, oh, like, but I'm not with them, but I do know, I'll ask, but hey, man, do you mind hooking me up? That I'll do. But to somebody I don't know,
but
I'm
you're
not
also
doing
talking
that.
about the queen of I carry my own food wherever I go.
True.
So I would have found a way to get my own food into the stadium.
No doubt.
And been like, you know what? I am vegan, and I don't think that you all have enough to be able to give me equity and protein options just like everyone. Yes.
You be killing that equity word.
I kill that word. What? Yes. Equity. Equality means that you offer something. Equity means that you offer the same caliber of protein options that you would offer for anyone else. And because I don't feel that you are doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and bring my own food. Yes, I will.
Let's see if this deeper question is football related.
Oh my gosh, if this is about a sport. Oh, wait, I didn't answer it. So what's my favorite sport to watch? Oddly enough, not football, basketball.
Yeah, okay.
My favorite sport to watch, sporting event to attend is basketball, not football.
Why is that?
Because it's indoors.
No doubt.
And it goes by faster.
Okay. Yes, that's true too.
Significantly faster.
I like that. All right.
All right, what white lie do you tell most often and why?
That I'll be there in 15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
Why you say it like that?
Oh, Jesus.
Y'all, hey, look, y'all know how it is. You be like, yeah, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I don't be calculating time anywhere correctly at all. So I think that's kind of a white lie, because I know it ain't going to be 15 minutes. But if you ask me, it's 15 minutes. How about you, babe?
The greatest white lie that I tell is I understand. So, like, when people, especially students, are telling me something and I'm just sitting there, I'll, I understand.
I get that.
Yep. Greatest white lie. And it's not because I don't comprehend what's being said, but it's because it's most likely an excuse and I don't understand the purpose of it.
I like that. I agree with that. Them little kids be making some excuses, let me tell you.
Ooh, look.
All right. Shout out to Pete. Pete's in the building. He said, well, hello there. And he followed that up with, let me see if King knows what movie that's from. Which line? Because there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm not entirely. Oh, he's talking about, well, hello there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what line that's from, Pete.
I feel like that was something that.
Well, hello there. Robin Williams?
It kind of does give Mrs. Doubtfire vibes, but then there was also something else. What's that guy's name? The guy who played Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, yes.
I feel like he said something like that in a movie at one point.
Tell us the movie, Pete. We shan't not continue. We shall. But let us know the movie. While you do that, I have to bring up my show notes here. Today's topic. It is about long-term relationships versus marriage. Pete said, Michelle, please do me a favor and rip that shirt off of him. It's from Story. It could be this. Well, hello there.
That sounded like something that came from Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
And then it also does sound like, not Hannibal Lecter per se, but the guy, Jack Nicholson. That's what it is.
Thank you. Pete, you asked a question before we started the live stream. And what Michelle said is that in any school, there is a student services area, right? To where you can ask them, just tell them what's going on, and they will have the staff
and the resources
to support your learning and or guide you to the appropriate technology. And yeah, so when I say resources, it's everything that falls under that, whether it's the tech, whether it's a certain type of textbook, whether it's software. The student services section at every campus will be able to guide you in that. So I hope that helps you out, man. And if you need any help, brother, on anything, you know that you can reach out. So,
you ready?
Michelle.
Yes, sir.
For the people that are new, they may not know that we're not married.
We're not?
Matter of fact, we are on a contract.
We are?
There are people that don't know that.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Now, from your words, how do you feel about being in a relationship contract with somebody?
It was something I don't think I'd ever considered until the two of us came together. And I appreciate that because it is so black and white. And sometimes with my disability, sometimes I need things to be very much black and white. And us having that, it's kind of like, okay, I can go back to this. I can hold him accountable to this because this is what we have on pen and paper. Like, this is what you said here.
For me, that's the thing that tells me, what did we say to each other? I talk about communication all the time and how it's important. And I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today where your man, this is Dr. Umar.
I love Dr. Umar.
He said something that you're not going to agree with.
Blasphemy.
He talked about, and I wish I had the clip to play it. It would have been
because you don't have the clip, it's like it never happened because Dr. Umar would never say anything that I wouldn't approve of.
I can quickly get this thing
up. So let me hush. Let me hush. Right.
So in the clip, he was asked, he stated that if he had a daughter and his daughter came up and said that her husband had cheated, and what should he do? He said he would ask his daughter, okay, does he beat you? Does he provide for you? Does he still care for you? Does he still do like all of these things? Like all the other stuff that people seek in a relationship? And then he said, was it something that was just physical?
I don't like where this is going.
He said, if so, then I would tell you that you and that man should work things out.
And see, I can imagine him saying that. And that is something that has gone on for a long, long time, where if the cheating was just physical, like if it was just sex and none of the other things that you just said were involved, where women would stay. Because, okay, maybe it was just a slip up and they're internalizing, maybe, I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to change something because if my husband's not satisfied, to go away and get something else, like there's something I'm doing wrong. And whereas a part of me can actually understand that and understand that logic, I look at it as you just broke a promise to me. And for me, you just broke a promise to me means that we can't be together anymore.
That's exactly what I said. I said, what did we communicate?
Yeah.
What did we discuss? And the reason why I said that, I said, had we never talked about that? I said, I could see a scenario, even if it happened to me, where if it was never discussed and you came to me, not you, but the person came to me and said, well, we never talked about that. I'd be like, you're right. And that's all I can say about it. But if it was something that was discussed, then yes, that is a broken thing. And that's what I like about the contract is there's things that are written down in there. So we can go back, we can reference that. Yeah. So it's not just about what you said. It's like, I don't remember saying that, or I don't remember you saying that. It's
let's go look at the black and white.
In the black and white in the contract. Shout out to Blaze. Blaze said, for real? I honestly thought y'all were married.
I mean, sometimes I'll be thinking it too. Look, you ain't the only one. I had to look down on my hand for a minute and be like, oh, no, it's just red nail.
I think it's a beautiful thing when people can have a relationship and so we're going to talk about it later because that's a part of how society can view a couple. I believe, in my opinion, inwardly and outwardly, we have a strong looking relationship, right? That's how I look at it. And I think other people can see that you and I communicate well. We complement each other well. There's a lot of strengths that we have that, in my opinion, is the stew of can make up the stew that can, last and feed us both well. See how I did that?
I see. I love it.
So, like, the components are there. And that's what we're just trying to showcase, Blaze. We're trying to showcase literally how we opened up our live stream about just what a healthy relationship looks like. All right. Tarika, you're supposed to join us. I gave you the link and instructions on how to join. You had a homework assignment. We wanted to bring you up to talk about your answers to what you wrote. So if you get the opportunity, hit that button to join. We love to hear how the assignment went. What you over there smiling about?
Because, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see over there. So I pulled up the comments here. And one, your mom is in the building. Hey, Miss Cheryl, how are you? Happy belated Mother's Day. And then secondly, Tarika wrote, Blaze, they are made for each other.
There it is. I see it. Yep.
Made for each other.
Pete said, at the wedding, can I be one of the groomsmen? I wouldn't mind that at all. If there was one.
The other thing, like, in all seriousness, King and I aren't married, but we have talked about, stuff like that. Like, if it were to ever happen. And one thing we can both agree on is that we don't want a wedding. Like, that's, if it were to ever happen, we don't want a wedding. I think at one point, me being in a sorority, I wanted to be able to have that so that, like, I could have, my line sisters be my bridesmaids and stuff like that. And then I realized, I don't want a wedding. So if that were to ever happen, you had hope you catch us on the weekday and we say something like, oh, hey, we headed over to the courthouse, meet us there. You can celebrate with us or not.
So that's going to lead us into our first point. We have 5 different points here. The first point being legal and social recognition.
Okay.
Marriage often provides legal benefits and social recognition that long-term relationships without a marriage license might not receive. This can include tax benefits, inheritance rights, and more. Talk about how these factors influence the choices between a couple deciding marriage versus a long-term relationship.
I'm going to be honest, for everything that you just named, minus the inheritance, because I ain't got nobody rich in my family. It was not like, there's something clinging. But all of those are reasons why marriage was definitely important for me. Like, and I'm going to be very real, sitting religion on the table for a second, not using that as a factor. One of the reasons why several of the reasons why marriage was very important to me is because, number one, society will view a 1-year marriage with more integrity, fidelity, and trust and judgment than it will a 20-year LTR. So you will look at a couple who has been married for a year and it's like, I am so happy for you all. I'm so proud of you. Oh, tell me when you all are moving in to a new home. We want to be able to shower you with gifts versus a couple who has been together for 20 years. And they don't get the same level of love and respect. And I do remember us talking about this one show, who knows ago, but we did discuss that. And a long-term relationship in society's eyes will not get the same amount of respect, even if they've been together longer. And then likewise, so a divorce happens and you will hear people, male and female, go up to both people who were married and they'll say, I'm so sorry to hear about your divorce. So sorry this happened. No matter how long the marriage was, but you don't see the same thing happen if an LTR ends. An LTR ends, and it's just like, well, at least you weren't married soon. Well, they were together for like 20 years, 20, 25 years. Like, back in the day, that was common law marriage. So, like, it doesn't get the same respect when it's together, and it doesn't get the same respect when they're separated. I know this woman. She is my sorority sister. We went to undergrad together. She pledged at undergrad. I didn't. She's also from my hometown. She has been with her now husband I think she's like 2 years older than me. So she's been with him for 22 years. They have 2 kids together, I believe. And they just got married like 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know how long they knew each other prior to that, but at least they
went to high school together.
So went to high school together. Graduated.
Went to the same college. So they both went to the college that I met her at. They both went there. So they went to I don't know if they went to middle school together, but they went to high school together. They went to college together. They were in the same class for both of them. I want to say they were dating. I could be adding years, but I know they were at least dating in college. I don't know if they were dating in high school. I'm like 95% sure they were dating in high school. So they were dating all this time. We're talking about, because I met her 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So we're talking, they had been together, and she was older than me, and they had been dating before that. So they had been together for maybe 22 years. And I think they're at under 3 years for their wedding anniversary.
I don't know them, and I don't mean no disrespect. Let me look in the camera when I say that. Do you know if they ever had a Ross and Rachel situation? We were on a break. So They were together that entire time.
That whole time.
It's kind of similar to how we're starting here, where we've said we are committing to each other in this monogamous relationship. Yeah. If you do anything other than monogamy, I don't knock it personally. I can't speak for her.
Yeah, that's on you.
That's on you.
But that's not us. Okay.
So wow, okay, that's dope. I would love to have a conversation with them then to ask why after 18 years did y'all say, you know what, let's just go ahead. Do you know if they had a ceremony or
they did? They had a really nice ceremony too. Like, wasn't in America. I want to say it was probably like Jamaica or the Bahamas or something. It wasn't on mainland America. Very beautiful ceremony.
I would love to ask why after y'all done got the kids up through school and then almost got to retirement in your jobs, and then go, you know what? Let's just go ahead and throw a title on this.
Yeah,
That's an interesting to go that far, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Again, like I'm blurry on whether they were dating in high school. I think so.
Okay.
But they definitely, she's 3 years older than me. They definitely, so 1 year older than you. They definitely got married recently.
So there are some challenges. For example, some of the challenges when it comes to legal things. Mm-hmm. I had a sleep study done last night.
Yeah.
I don't mind talking about this publicly. And when I checked in, I thought when you and I decided to be serious. Okay.
I'm sorry, 1 year.
They've only been married 1 year?
Yep.
Okay. When you and I decided to be there for each other and things like that, we slowly changed things to make each other's the emergency contact.
Yeah.
I thought I had done it everywhere. But when I got to the VA, the lady that checked me in was like, so King, we see that you don't have an emergency contact in one system, but I see a Casey or Cassie in another system. I said, well, we got to fix a couple of things. I said, so first of all, let's add Michelle early. And I gave your information and it got updated. And then they were like, so who is Casey? I was like, Cassie's the ex. She can go off and wherever she was, put Michelle early there too.
I love it.
So it was interesting because, like, as we were going through, wow, that makes the way I think different. Oh my goodness. As we're going through stages in life, right?
Yeah.
If something were to come up, if we were married without any wills or anything like that, there are certain legal things that it would fall by default to your spouse.
Yeah. And there's reasons like that why, like, if you ever hear me talking about it, like, that's it. Like, putting how society views things to the side, it's for those legal purposes. Like, if you don't update things, everything would automatically revert to your ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do know that about law. Things would automatically revolt back to your ex-wife. So there, it could be, we're together for decades, and then God forbid something happens where you were incapable of speaking for yourself. We're not married. They're going to be looking to Cassie to explain things. And it's like, but they haven't been together for decades. He and I are together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have anything written down, like if we don't have that legality of paper, they're going to default to your ex-wife. And it's stuff like that like it hurts her. So like it hurts. And those are things, because you know me, my mind, I'm a gap filler. My mind goes and fills in the gaps of what other people are thinking. So my mind has already gone there and processed those types of things. And then likewise for me too. So I've never been married. And technically things would default to my next of kin. So my next of kin would be like my mom or my niece. Like my niece is my beneficiary. And I want to very specifically say my middle niece is my beneficiary for everything. And it's only because I had easier access to her social security number. Like her mom could easily give me her social. So it would default to my family instead of going to the person that I've been with forever. Like there's too much red tape to go through when there is no marriage license involved.
Now, we have talked about what we're going to need, because right now we don't live together.
Mm-hmm.
We're trending towards living together.
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be things that we're going to have because we're not married that is going to help cut that red tape. It is what it is.
It's extra paperwork that we have to do because we don't have a marriage license,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate because it literally is that. It's extra paperwork that we're going to have to go through because of that.
Yep. And just have and maybe keep on us or somewhere that's easily reachable in either of our cars, and just things like that. I don't view it as a headache. I was talking about this to somebody else. They're like, that sounds like a headache. Like, y'all should just go ahead and get married. I'm like, look, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. But what I'm saying is that there's headaches on either side of it.
Yeah.
Not to say, well, what if it don't work? But what if it don't work?
See, I choose to not think about it like that. I choose to not think about it like that because one thing that I will say is there was a level of intentionality. And I'm talking to you. Like I know sometimes I forget to talk to the audience, but I'm talking to you when I say this. When you and I started dating, I think one thing I told you was that I feared dating men with children because of that getting attached to the child and then something happening and me not being able to communicate with the child before, because I've had that happen before and it broke my heart
No doubt.
in a million pieces. However, when I met your daughter, I already knew like we're done. Like we just have to work out because I can't live without her in my life. So we just gonna have to work it out. Like everything aside, we're just gonna have to work it out. It's just gonna have to be because I love her. So no. So that's where I stand with that.
Okay. Do we have any comments about that before we continue to our next subject? Anybody have anything to contribute to the conversation? Please put it down in the chat. Let's see. We do have, looks like there was some conversation between Blaze and Tarika. Tarika said, Blaze, our chemistry is great. Hey, I'll take it.
And then I also see that Peter said, oh, it will be one. And I'm assuming he's referring to a wedding.
Pete. Hush your mouth. Next topic or next area about this: commitment and security. Talk about how commitment in a marriage is viewed both legally and culturally as more binding compared to long-term relationships. Delve into whether this perception affects the relationship's security and stability, or if true commitment transcends legal status. We've kind of broached this a little bit.
A little, but so here's the thing when I hear that, I hear like it's asking what is society saying, which technically we didn't cover in the other ones. We
Correct.
talked about the legality.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's family is going to say that a man is less likely to leave you if he's married to you.
Correct. Because he also understands the ramifications.
But no, like that's what I'm saying. Like every woman's family is gonna say, but if he's not married to you, like there's no reason for him to stay, and da 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 da, and all this other stuff. I'm sorry, but a piece of paper is not gonna make someone stay.
True.
I've unfortunately witnessed that happen. Like a piece of paper does not guarantee that someone is going to stay. You have to consciously make that decision every single day, paper or not. You have to make the decision every single day. And I think that that's something that people forget. I look at it and I'm just like, I see the pros and cons. And again, I know what the Bible says. So I'm putting that here because I already understand what the Bible says. And it's not that I'm ignoring it, but I'm saying for people, everyone who is watching may not be religious. So how can we relate to them? We have to put the religious part aside. So putting the religious part aside, why else should people consider marriage? Well, society is going to tell a woman specifically that a man is less likely to leave you if he's married. And if you're married, and if he does, you have ramifications that you can exhaust. There's certain states, I can't remember which states, but there's certain states where it's illegal to cheat, to have an affair. There's certain states where, what is it, California, 10 years, 50%?
Yeah, for life, which
For
is
life.
crazy to me.
So there's certain states where it's just like, well, why aren't you getting married to him? Like it's better for you to get married for him. And again, I feel like it's a choice that you have to make. Like you gonna have some people in California who make it up to 9 years, 11 months, and 28 days, and they're just like, yeah, I can't do it anymore. There has to be more holding a person there aside from just a paper. It has to be more.
And I think that there's something to be said about the strength of a relationship if you're in a long-term committed relationship, because you're making a choice to be there, just like you should in your marriage.
Exactly.
Yet,
so that's the issue. Some people don't realize that.
Yet, by not having that legal status and you waking up to the same face every single morning and smiling, going, yeah, I made the right decision. To me, that right there in itself should say a lot about that couple, assuming, under the assumption that both him and her make that choice every single day.
Exactly. I 100% agree. It has to be a conscious decision that's made. It can't be we're staying together for the kids, or it's cheaper to keep her. It can't be any of that. It has to be a conscious decision. Like you have to feel it in your heart. You have to feel it in your mind. You have to feel it with every part of your being that this is the person that you want to be with. And frankly, paper or not, I don't want anyone to stay with me unless that's how they feel.
While we're on this topic, if they change the laws, do you think people would change their mind?
What do you mean?
If they change the laws to make it so that it's not as difficult to separate from a marriage, do you think that society would view marriage more favorably?
No. So I think if the laws were changed to make it easier to get a divorce or to get separated, I don't think that would have an impact on the amount of people getting married. I think if it were easier to get married, then people, hold on, how do I want to say this? Is that really what I mean? Trying to think, because on both ends, it's a lot of paperwork. Like it is fairly easy to get married unless you're the woman and you want to change your name. There is a lot of paperwork that goes into it. You're right. I think if it were easier to dissolve things, like the dissolution of things in general, no matter what it is significantly harder than the acquisition. So it's easier to get a house than it is to sell a house. It's easier to start a business than it is to dissolve a business. all of those things. It seems like the acquisition is easier than the dissolution. So if you were able, yes, you're right. If you were able to dissolve a marriage faster and with less headache, then probably.
Some states require that you live 12 months apart
We're one of those
before
states.
you can even file. Maryland used to be
we're not.
one of those states. Actually, the year before my divorce,
that's right,
they got rid of it.
That's right. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And the reason behind it is because of the opposite of what we're talking about. Like, it's are you sure? Like, just to make sure that people aren't just, yeah, I'm out, and being able to just boom. But I think we're living longer. Okay, but take that off the table. A whole year?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot of time, but it's a lot of time at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a comment here from Blaze. Blaze said, Tarika, my bad. I'm over on another channel. He said that he's in GA too, but not ATL, in Peachtree City. Yeah, I know where Peachtree's at. I like GA, but I definitely miss the Bay Area weather. Look, when you experience that West Coast Bay Area weather, there's nothing like it. A friend of hers had asked, where can you get 70-degree temperature year-round, sunny, on a gorgeous day that we had here about a couple of weeks back? And I was slow to answer because I couldn't think of a place. And then I was like, wait, Kendrick Lamar already said the blueprint. Women, weed, and weather. California.
Your mom commented and said that Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell never got married.
I didn't know that they were a couple.
Oh, they've been together for longer than we've been alive.
She also mentioned Oprah and Stedman.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still together?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oprah ain't marrying him. Oprah is never going to marry him. That's an Oprah thing.
Yeah. I wonder why. She has no incentive to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she would have changed if the shoes were on the other foot financially? Like, Stedman's got his own stuff.
Stedman got his own money. He doesn't have Oprah money.
He ain't got Oprah money.
So if she had Stedman's money and Stedman had Oprah money, do I think she'd be
singing the same tune?
Probably not.
I don't think so either. I did not know that about Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I didn't know that they were a thing.
Oh. I'm telling you, longer than we've been alive.
Okay. Tarika says she's in Marietta. Tarika, I wish we had the time to come visit you. We're going down south in a couple of weeks, and if we were going by that direction, we would definitely stop by, or depending on what your work schedule looked like, we would have tried to make something happen, but we're just not going to have the time.
Yeah.
But we are going to make it happen. Or if you happen to come up to this area, let us know.
Let us know, please. We'll work it out.
That'd be dope. Next topic or area around this.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of these blend together, but it's societal expectations and pressure. And it goes on to say, many cultures have strong expectations regarding marriage. Discuss how societal pressure can impact an individual's decision to marry or not, and compare this with those who choose long-term relationships without marriage, focusing on personal autonomy versus societal norms. Let me start.
Go.
I don't care what society thinks about anything. One of the things that I was afraid of with you and I is that you would hear more when he gonna put a ring on it, and it would really start to affect you. I hear it, right? People are saying, hey, Michelle's a good woman. When are you going to marry her? And my reply never changes. I'm like, marriage is not the end goal. It's not the end goal. That's how I view it. It's not the end all be all for a relationship. And I'm almost hesitant to even say it that way, because when I do, I know how the conversation is going to go. And it's not that I don't want to talk about it, but I'd rather spend my time discussing or doing something else. Sometimes I just want to go, yes, so that the conversation's short, but then it's not authentic. So I struggle with being inauthentic. And people that know me know that, like, for me, what you see is what you get. And I prefer to be authentic and answer it in an authentic way, even if it's kind of uncomfortable to hear, because people expect you to respond a certain way. And when I don't, they go, oh.
Your mom says society can kick rocks.
Society can kick rocks.
For me, part of it is society. And this, for me, I have to put religion back on the table. So I am in the church, and it is that whole, well, you're supposed to be married to someone. And I look at it and I'm just like, there are a lot of people who have been divorced. There are a lot of people who are in unhappy marriages. And I don't want to be with multiple people. I just want to be with one person. And I feel like with this one person, plus the only thing that's missing from us is the law. We have made that commitment to one another. We have signed on the dotted line for something. The only thing that we didn't involve was the courts. But other than that, we have made this commitment to being together, authentically showing up for one another and being a couple. And that is essentially what happens in marriage. Now, my mom looks at it and, I tell her like the truth, which is that, sis, your divorce and the fact that you never remarried, like you dated a couple times, but you've been single for probably the last 20 years, partially why I don't want to get married. Like, I don't.
Did you ever ask her why?
No,
you don't have to bring it up here, but did you ever ask her?
No, I never asked her why. And I look at it, I'm just like, I don't know, like respectfully, my dad is on his fourth marriage, and I love Miss Brenda. Like, she's the first stepmother I've ever engaged with, because his first wife was before me, before I was born. His second wife was my mom. His third wife, I spoke to her like once on the phone and maybe a couple times via text messages after they were already separated. So I've never had a stepmom in interaction. So I have Miss Brenda, and I love and appreciate her.
I like Miss Brenda.
Yeah, she's very, very nice.
Miss Brenda if she's watching.
Happy belated Mother's Day to you. But I look at it and I do have a different understanding of marriage, because pretty much everyone in my family, if they're in their first marriage, like it's 3 categories for my family. They're in their first marriage and they don't look happy. Like, I got a couple of uncles who, well, not a couple, 2 uncles on my mama's side, and there's only 3 of them living. So 2 uncles on my mama's side who they're married and they're in their first and only marriage. And I'm gonna be honest, they don't look all that happy and exciting. Like, that's not what you see when you see like, oh, marriage. This is what it is. Like, that's not what you see. And then I look at category number 2, which is they're on their second or more marriage. So that's something else that I see. Or they're once divorced and they are single and dating or whatever now. That's what my family looks like. Those are the 3 categories. Like, I remember you asking me one time, do I have anyone outside of the church with a happy marriage? And my answer still remains no.
Somebody that was close that
no.
has, yes.
My answer still remains no for that.
So interesting enough, Mama, I'm bringing up the family.
Oh no.
But that's what we do here. We have a real conversation, relatable, accountable. So let's get real. I too, on my mother's side, a lot of the family members fall in that category number 2, where they are not on their first or OG marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second or more. All of my aunts, I only have one on my mom's side.
Okay.
My uncles, my grandmother. I'd have to go to like second cousins or great aunts. And I don't know a lot of my great aunts and uncles that well to know if they're on their first and only marriage or not. But I can only think of one second cousin who is on their OG marriage that are still together.
And happy?
Yes.
Because together and happy aren't the same thing.
Hey, I'm glad you said that. But yes, together and happy. I can only think of one. And she's a bit of like the glue as well. She does a lot of communicating.
Oh, her. Okay.
Yes, everybody together. I won't say her name or here just yet. I should send her. You should be watching our channel too.
Okay.
But they're the only one that I can think of just off the top of my head. on my dad's side of the family, I don't know a lot of my aunt's situations. One recently just passed, so she's a widower, but I think that was her only marriage, and she is now a widower. Widow, yes. And my other aunt on my dad's side of the family, I think her and her husband's only been married to each other together.
Okay.
But another one, happy? I don't know him that well.
Okay.
I don't know him that well, but one of my other aunts didn't. And from the outside in, it looked like they had a pretty nice thing going. But that's the thing. On the outside in, a lot of things can appear to be one way, and then it's not.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
It's difficult when we talk about social media stuff in general, because we're choosing to share our relationship all up on social media. We have the King M.E show. We post each other because we actually like each other.
I like you. I like your face.
And we, in my opinion, I think we have been tested, because there's been people say, well, y'all have only been together for a little bit over a year and a half. Y'all haven't been tested. And I'm like, well, that's not wrong. I think we have been tested on some of the things that could have derailed us earlier.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about everything else in between.
Yes. Now, if kids were a big thing, that could have been something that derailed us. I can't have kids. You knew that going into it.
I don't want kids.
So, like, outside of that, the only thing for me that I thought might have been something that couldn't make us work out, that I actually really wasn't sure about, was the marriage topic, where I said, hey, look, I'm feeling you. I'm thinking that we can have a beautiful relationship, but I might not give you the title of wife. How do you feel about that? Right? Like, I said it almost kind of just like that.
Because I think you actually did say it like that.
Because I wanted to have a straight up conversation with you, to have you think about that. Because I'm like, I know I'm built for whatever outside influence might have at me, but I can't speak for you. And you had also vlogged about wanting to find a husband, and a God-fearing husband at that.
But so let's be honest.
Let's talk.
I blogged about wanting to be a mother, and in all fairness, I probably wrote that before I was a teacher.
Okay.
Then I became a teacher and realized I don't want to be a mother. Realized I don't want to be a mother. Like, I'm good. I'm really, really good. The God-fearing husband part, like, I know that is something that you have always spoken about. I have my opinions about you that are just going to be my opinions, and they'll be fine. But the greatest thing for me was I needed someone who was going to push me closer to Christ and never prohibit me from getting closer to Christ. Those are my two biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
And you do both of them. Well, sorry, you don't do either of those.
And you said that very clearly.
Yeah, you constantly push me closer to Christ. You constantly, okay, so what would you do? What would you do in this situation? Have you prayed about it? Have you taken it to God? Well, what does the Bible say about this? That is you. And it's never oh, you're going to church again? Like, why? Like, you were just there not too long ago. And what do you mean your pastor needs you to put something on the website? Like, right now we're in the middle of this. Like, no, it has never been that. You have never blocked me from being able to pursue, deepen my faith, or to do anything for the church. And you constantly push me to it. When I'm in the midst of a situation, you'll pause. You'll listen to what I'm saying. But have you prayed about it yet?
You do a good me, FYI.
I'm just saying. But have you prayed about it yet? Like, you wrote about it. No, what I love, my favorite part, I remember there was one time, y'all, that I can't even remember what I was going through. King, because like I said, he has gone through and he has read every single one of my blogs. He pulled up the blog that I had written that was very much related to that subject. He pulled it up, screenshot it, circled the important parts and then texted it to me and was like, but you said this right here. So if this is how you felt at this moment about God, then why are you feeling a different way right now? Like, called me out on my own stuff. That's what I need.
We have a record.
We do.
Yes, and it is not Papa Early.
What's that?
My mother said her friend Teresa was married 6 times. I didn't think I knew anybody that had been married as many times as your father has.
So you were coming for my father all this time? I'm kidding. Okay.
But I do know Miss Teresa. She's awesome. I like her.
Okay.
But that I did not know.
Oh, well, hey, learn something new every day. That's your lesson for today.
Shout out to Sean. Sean's in the building. He said, how is everyone doing? Y'all like each other, and that's good. Hey, it's a good place to start. He said, did you say might not give her a husband, and not because I feel you've grown tremendously in that area? Look, that's not wrong. She just did the sign language for yes.
Yes.
I have grown in that area. People have said that they've sworn
because you did.
That I have said never. And I have always said, I've never said never. I've said highly unlikely. So we'll just leave it at that. Blaze followed that up with Tarika. He was born and raised in Cali. Hey, but you know what? Let's give some background to the people chatting. Originally came to GA briefly back in high school, but left after graduation. And you're right about that couple. 20 years, but not married. It works for them. Hey, Blaze, who has better high school football, California or Georgia? Be real. Be real. I think nobody beats down south football. I was born and raised in Alabama.
You're biased on that.
But they also have the best high school prep. No. Texas.
Well, that's the South.
Actually has. Well, yeah, then okay. The South has the best prep high school football. Hands down.
The South, I mean, Texas California is all about faith, family, and football.
Yep.
That's it.
I think Cali's second, Florida's a close third. And I know a lot of Florida people are going to hate me for that one. I don't care. I think California prep could beat Florida prep any day. But ain't nobody touching down south. Florida's not down south.
In this case, do I count as the South? Does Maryland count as a...
Nope. Ooh, not at all. No, definitely not.
Hater.
If you go and catch a prep football game on a Friday night, you know that there's a game in Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. You can drive by a stadium here and you barely hear the people in the stadium on Friday nights. It's like, wait, is there even football being played?
What about Fred? Big Fred go hard.
They do, and that's about it.
Wow. Okay.
You get a block away from Big Fred, though. And
I see discrimination.
Yeah, there's cars lined up down the roads down south. You don't get that here. I'm not a fan of it.
Discrimination.
See, what else do we have? Blah, blah, blah.
I can tell you.
Okay.
I can tell you one thing. When we end tonight, I have a big date with some Benadryl. Because my allergies are like, Michelle is walking out and about in these streets with people cutting grass. And I've been eating bananas. I've had like a total of 3 bananas in the last week.
Is that on your no-no list?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But for multiple reasons. And I've literally had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for the last week and a half.
Make sure you take care of yourself, babe. I'm going to need for you to last. You only get one body. Blaze said, I love Cali, but as far as football goes and how much the game itself means to people, the South wins.
So again, is Maryland included in that South? Like, I feel like y'all discriminating against Maryland. We are a southern state.
No.
Stop.
I didn't hear people in Maryland talk about the South shall rise.
You don't know that? We are below the Mason-Dixon line. We are the South.
Next topic. Rituals and ceremonies. Marriage often involves significant rituals like weddings, which can have an emotional, cultural, or religious importance. Talk about the roles and values of these ceremonies in solidifying a relationship compared to long-term partnerships that might not have a formal ceremony.
I got you.
Kick this off.
So jump in the berm. There was a movie about it starring Paula Patton years ago. And there's also that tradition that we sometimes see at Black weddings. So I'm going to focus on Black, and then I'll kind of like talk about other weddings. So at Black weddings, especially very kind of like Afrocentric Black weddings, you'll see people jumping the broom.
Okay.
Because during the days of enslavement, Black people weren't allowed to legally get married. So literally all they did was have a ceremony, but technically in the eyes of the law, they weren't married. Well, for them, because they didn't have money to buy rings to be able to exchange and stuff like that. So for them, they jumped the broom. Literally, they had a broom and the couple jumped over it. And that was how they solidified their marriage. Now, again, there was nothing else. There was no paper or anything like that, because technically enslaved people were property, and property can't marry one another. Property can't be given away in that sense for marriage or anything like that, unless it benefited their owner. So jumping the broom was how they symbolized that they were married, that they were a couple. So that's what you see in sometimes in Black culture. They'll jump the broom. Something else you'll see in Black culture is, and I only know this because I've done photography, you'll see two different vases of sand.
Fancy vases.
Yeah, I went bougie with the word. Of sand, and then you'll see the bride and the groom pouring the sand together.
I've never seen that.
They'll take their separate photographer. They'll take their separate things of sand, which are typically two different colors, and then they'll pour it into one container together to represent the culmination of their families. And if you don't see sand, you may see candles. So they have a candle each, and then that's lit, and then they have an unlit candle in the middle, and they're both taking their candles to be able to symbolize that. What you'll see in it's Jewish cultures. Please correct me if I'm wrong. In Jewish cultures, or Greek, goodness gracious, I can't think of which one. Breaking of glass.
I don't know which one.
I think
if y'all in the chat know, please let us know.
I feel so horrible because I don't want to say that the two cultures are the same. So I'm just going to say this. In some cultures, there is the stomping of glass. So like there's a cup, a glass cup that is in a bag, and the groom will step on it, and that's how you symbolize that they're married. In other cultures, I think that is the Greek culture, where they break and toss plates to be able to symbolize that the marriage has taken place. You also see in some very, very, very traditional Jewish ceremonies where they will bind each other together. So like take a piece of cloth or fabric or something, and they'll like tie the hands to symbolize that there's two separate people coming as one, functioning as one. So you'll see all those different cultural things that kind of vary for cultures all across the world. And all of that is aside from the legalese of paper. Old Jewish biblical, right.
Yeah.
Old Jewish biblical times, people, the moment they were betrothed, they were technically already married.
The moment that they had sex?
No. The moment that they had already, like, so my family is putting me together with this guy from someone else's family. They have already arranged the marriage. Okay. We're technically already married. So it's like the same level of legality of trying to, minus the legality, the same level of disappointment and everything if it doesn't work out, because technically we're betrothed to one another. So we're like already married. We just haven't done all of the ceremonial stuff and everything like that. So
isn't that something that was in the Bible too, though? When you had sex?
Mary and Joseph. Well, not sex, but Mary and Joseph, technically before they even had the ceremony, they were already together, like on paper, like they were betrothed to one another. So technically they were already married for all intents and purposes. But you see that all the time, that different cultures have different ways of symbolizing a union, the joining of two people, and it doesn't involve the legalese of paperwork. Like that paperwork comes later or something like that. For most people, it is that ceremony, like the wedding ceremony. The reason why it's so sacred is because this is what people believe join together, not the actual legalese of like what you do at the courthouse. Because I mean, you want to be all intent and purposes. The moment you get that paperwork is kind of like when you're married, except the only thing is you need a witness to sign it. And typically that witness who signs it is the person who performs your ceremony most times.
Peep this. This is on subject.
What?
I'm not outing this couple by saying this. Yeah, I can say it. They're overseas now.
Mm-hmm.
They had a destination wedding as U.S. citizens in a non-U.S. location.
Mm-hmm.
The current country that they're in chose not to recognize their wedding right before they were the destination wedding ceremony, like 2 weeks before they were set to go over there.
Ouch.
And it almost caused them to not be able to make it. So they actually had to complete the legal stuff here in the States, like find somebody that can, hey, we need this done so we can go take this and get it notarized and fax it to these people so that we can get them to move us overseas. Yeah. And they almost missed out on that opportunity because while they had the wedding, they had the witnesses and all of that stuff, the country that they were looking at moving to didn't recognize their destination wedding as a legal wedding. So now they say, well, we have 2 wedding dates now.
And see, I think like that's a big thing. We view it as it's not real if someone else doesn't legitimize it. If someone else doesn't legitimize what I'm going through, then it must not be real. If someone can't legitimize my experience, then it's not real. And I think that that's a big problem that we have if we're waiting on someone else to legitimize, validate, or anything else what we're going through. And I feel like that's kind of what marriages have become. And sometimes we hear 2 terms used interchangeably as though they mean the same thing. A wedding and a marriage aren't the same thing.
Correct.
But I am intentionally saying that we have waited to let other people legitimize marriages for us, not so much the weddings. Like we ball out. Society says ball out on the wedding, which is absolutely ridiculous. It is one day that is not legitimized until someone signs on that piece of paper. You can go to the courthouse and have all of that. The ceremony is something totally different. It is just that. It is pomp and circumstance. It is a ceremony for a reason.
Is there anything about a wedding that isn't an expense? Anything?
It depends.
Besides maybe the gifts you might receive?
Some churches, not every, some churches won't charge you for a wedding. Like if you're a member at that church, they won't charge you for the wedding. However, as a nonprofit organization, it's not that they'll charge someone else for the wedding, but they might just charge you for the cleanup fee, like to have people be able to clean up.
I know my next side hustle.
Oh my goodness.
I'm getting ordained.
Stop. Stop. Honestly, that was one of the first questions I got when I became a licensed minister, if I was ordained to perform marriage ceremonies. And I'm kind of glad I'm not.
Is it ordained? What do you have to be? Okay, yeah.
You do have to be ordained to perform licensed, ordained, whatever. I am not. I don't carry that certification. I cannot. Minister R.E.A.L does not perform marriage ceremonies.
Might be adding a couple of letters to my resume.
But so I look at that and I'm just like, the fact that people use those 2 terms interchangeably. And I sent you a joke. Like I don't know if it was a joke. I sent you a screenshot of something that I saw on Facebook where it was like Jessica's wedding featuring Jack or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
And I'm just like, this kind of is where we have come to the point where it's like, oh, well, it's her wedding day. No, like, why are we spending thousands and thousands of dollars for something like that? Now, I get it, especially in some Indian cultures, big, fancy to do, Indian and some other Asian cultures, it is a big, fancy to do because it's the combining of 2 big families. So I get it. Like there's a level of, pomp and circumstance that goes with it. If we ever get married, I am telling you right now in front of witnesses, I would like to go straight to the courthouse.
You said that.
I do not want anything else. I don't want pomp and circumstance. If anything else after the courthouse, I will gladly take a backyard barbecue.
Because it's still wild to me that you have this pomp and circumstance, this whole celebration thing for the wedding, yet when the divorce happened, is please respect our privacy. No, I think while we're talking about changing laws, we should make it so that if you get married with the pomp and circumstance, you should get divorced with the pomp and circumstance.
Here you go.
I just like saying pomp and circumstance.
I get it. It's a fun term.
But hey, let's have a party for both sides. If you're going to invite me to something and 6 years later it don't work out, invite me to that same party so that we can celebrate y'all. Find out y'all didn't work out. I don't know how to view that.
So then that's the other thing. You mentioned this earlier. People are so willing to give gifts, come out and celebrate a wedding, and then unfortunately not every marriage lasts. But you ask someone to show up and support a couple who are not married and in an LTR, and you don't get the same level of support.
Mm-hmm.
You do get those questions. So you asked that earlier, like, do I get hit with a lot of, when are y'all getting married? Yeah, I do get hit with a lot of, when is King gonna propose to you, and all this other stuff. I'm tired of getting it, but it's partially because of my age that I'm getting that, and because of the fact that we are so close that it's kind of like, well, why don't you just do that next step of going ahead and getting married? And
okay, hey, to all of the people that say that, I'm gonna create a fund. Matter of fact, I should send them our Ko-Fi.
Actually, you don't need to, because hopefully that link is already on our link tree. And if you all notice right here, can you hide that message really quickly? We done put a QR code to our link tree right there. So every link you need to find us and to be able to contribute, right there on that link tree. So go ahead and scan it on whatever screen you are looking at, and then get at us.
I'm going to tell everybody that says that, here's my Ko-Fi link. Contribute something to that Ko-Fi link. Contribute to this wedding that you want to see, and then we'll talk. Tarika said, I don't think you should spend a lot of money on a wedding. I also prefer the courthouse. People are starting to realize something. In this economy, should you even have a wedding? Now, if your finances are great, so be it.
But still, even then, I don't think you should, because you could be using that money elsewhere.
Yes. And I was talking earlier, I asked a question about, is there anything that's not an expense? Almost everything about a wedding ceremony is an expense.
It even costs to get the wedding license. So, even that's not free.
Mm-hmm. And the way I'm thinking about it is, let's say, I'm going to throw a conservative number out there. Let's say you spend $5,000 total because you're keeping it low key, close, intimate friends, easy catering, music and DJ, somebody's backyard. $5,000. And I think that's conservative. I'm like, man, that $5,000 could easily, and that's just the ceremony. If you do decide that, you know what, let's go take a honeymoon somewhere because we also haven't had a vacation in a while or something. The $5,000, that's one first class ticket somewhere. I'm starting to think that's something towards building a positive net worth. I had this conversation with somebody about a week ago. I don't think you should get married if your net worth is negative. That blew that person's mind because they're like, wait, typically people come out of high school, they go to college, unless you come from a wealthy to-do family. When you finish your college, if that's the route you take, you typically are already in a negative net worth, typically. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's just your undergrad. Then let's say if your family's not supporting you and you're supporting yourself, it's that much harder to then climb if you come from not having that already net worth, like your parents didn't, no inheritance, anything like that. So how can you support having a family or a union if you're someone with a negative net worth and then you're coming into something with somebody that has a negative net worth? You should talk about that. Say, hey, I'm going to raise my hand. And I'm raising my hand. I don't have a positive net worth yet.
I have student loans.
We don't have a positive net worth. We know this about each other. We have talked about and plans on how to turn that around for us. And I'm vested in doing it not just for us. Not just for me, but for us. Because the sooner that we individually have a positive net worth, the more comfortable we can be. Like that's just the bottom line for that. It allows us the financial freedom to do whatever we want to do.
Matt, just U.S. government, if you were listening, please forgive my student loans. I'm a lowly teacher who loves what she does, but I'm a teacher and my student loans are more than I make in a year. So please and thank you, forgive them.
I wish I could have zoomed in on you
It's okay.
very slowly as you were saying that.
Slow zoom, right?
Give that extra production value.
But you were saying something. You were saying you were going to like give the link to our, what's it called?
Ko-Fi.
Mm-hmm. So are we issuing a challenge? Like if X amount of dollars are received in our Ko-Fi, then we'll go out and like where were you going with that?
Oh, I like this. If for some, I'm a very
throw a number out. Number out.
I'd have to sit and really think about that number because it should have some significance to like set us up good. Ain't got to be extravagant, but like set us up good to where it'd be like, you know what? Bet.
You like even numbers, and I like numbers that are divisible by 3.
Okay.
6,000.
Oh, I was thinking higher than that.
Okay, well then never mind.
Yeah, I was thinking more like 30,000. That's divisible by 3. I didn't even think about that. Mm-hmm. But that's the number that I was sitting at.
Okay. Well, we got to get people to actually donate.
So, and it's for, there's a couple of different reasons. But yeah, to everybody that want to say, oh, y'all should get married.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Put your money where your mouth is.
There you go.
There were a couple of things I saw from Blaze that I want to highlight too.
Yeah.
Blaze said, I don't get it at all. Thousands and thousands are on the wedding, but the marriage itself lasts all of 5 minutes or 8 minutes. It's hard to tell from here.
That's a 5.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've seen this thing play out online and offline. Yep. And then Tarika said, Blaze, that's sad, but true. I'd rather go to the courthouse. Sean asked a question. So what is the financial goal for you to get married? We brushed on this a little bit.
Yeah.
But as a matter of fact, we put out a short today or yesterday because on our last episode, I talked about the couple in Philly.
Yeah, today. I think
that was today. There was a couple in Philly. I was in Philly about a week or two ago. And this couple was at the restaurant that I was at. It was like a little bakery. Talking about why they should get married for financial reasons. Because it sounded like they were living apart, not together. Mm-hmm. And they were in their mid-20s, right? And somebody that's approaching 40, I'm like, ooh, I remember what mid-20s income was like for the average person.
Right.
There are people that's going to be above or on the far end of that bell curve. We ain't talking about them. We're talking about the average income right now. Unless you're making a certain amount in your mid-20s, I honestly don't know how you can afford to live by yourself in certain markets. If you're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, that's one thing. If you're anywhere in Maryland outside of Hagerstown, that's another situation. I shouldn't have said that. That was wrong.
But it's true.
But it's true. That, that's a different situation. I almost had to live in Hagerstown.
Yeah, I think you were telling me.
Mm-hmm. Instead, I chose Charlestown, West Virginia, and had the craziest landlord I've ever had to deal with. And that was right after my divorce. That was my motivation for never again. Hey, Colleen, we should talk offline because, brother, I had a story. All right. But to Sean's question, he said that we did answer it. It's 30K. Look,
okay.
6K. Yeah, that's come and gone in a weekend, essentially.
What you doing on a weekend to make it come and go?
I don't know. It just seems the way, but that money, you walk outside and smell the air once and you've just lost $20. That's how Maryland feels. Yes. I made that joke when I first moved here. I said, yo, you get taxed for everything in Maryland. You just walk outside and breathe. You just lost $10 on the inhale. All right, we had one other thing. Oh, and then we gotta close. The last part was personal preferences and life plans. Some individuals prefer the flexibility and less formal aspect of a long-term relationship without marriage due to personal beliefs or life plans. Discuss how personal preferences towards marriage or long-term partnerships can be shaped by past experiences, future ambitions, individual philosophies about love and partnership. So let me start. I was married once. If I had never been married, I would not be on the topic of marriage like how I am now, where I'm not, let me be clear. I got a term. I'm not against marriage by no means. Marriage has its benefits. I think if you are able to vet, which that's the thing, you can vet somebody, but that don't mean that 8 years down the line, that person's still gonna honor and be the same that you were when you vetted them 7, 8 years prior. So when people say, well, you should have vetted better, it's like, well, in the moment, it seemed like it was a good thing. They were saying all the things. But for me, my thoughts on marriage are shaped by the fact that my first marriage was a failed marriage. It ended in divorce. You don't get married expecting or having a divorce, right? So that's how my thoughts got shaped on it. I would love to hear, and you kind of talked on it a little bit. You know, you've seen your peers at younger ages get married. You also talked about it in your blog. How did your outlook get shaped the way that it did? Because you desired marriage. You desire. I'm not going to say did. You desire marriage.
Well, we have to call a spade a spade. So, first of all, when I was younger, the reason why I desired marriage is because a part of me wanted to be a parent. And although I know it's not legally true, I felt like the only way to have a child was to get married. So, in all fairness, I wanted a marriage simply for parenthood for the majority of my life. It wasn't until recently that I realized I wanted a spouse for the partnership, for the life mate, for the person to continue to build and grow with. That wasn't until recently. And when I made that realization, it then became, I'm dating. Who am I dating? Who am I coming in contact with? Is this someone I can truly see me spending the rest of my life with? And the truth is, you are the only guy that I've dated since I had that realization that I can honestly say I can see myself spending the rest of my life
with. Okay.
Because I like you. I think you're cute.
I'll take it. I will take it. So that's our show. We went longer than we normally do. Our show is like an hour-ish, right? We try to respect that time. I just wanted to say, Michelle, as the king, as your king, I'm here.
I like you.
As long as we honor what we've said to each other, this relationship can last. That's all I have.
That's all you got.
Yep. I'm not sure if you've ever kissed me while I've worn the crown.
For many reasons. Yes, that's true.
So we want to thank everybody that tuned in on the live stream. We had a lot of people pop in over from Perry Productions. Thank you. If you have not hit the like button, please mash that like button. All right. We will be not live next Monday.
No, we won't be live. So y'all know I'm a teacher, and next Monday we have our senior class award ceremony. And as one of the senior class advisors, I kind of have to be there. So we will have a pre-recorded episode, but it's the same quality.
Mhm.
And we want to be able to engage with you all. So come on, join us. Join the party.
Is the video gonna be our escapades from this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
I like that.
That sounds like fun. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm King.
I'm Michelle.
And we out, y'all.
Bye.
Peace. You come to me? Oh, us. Us to each other. Mwah. And then one more juicy one. Mwah. Peace.
Bye.